Eventually, people are gonna find out that you're Superman.
Yeah, but the glasses.
Hey, loser. You're a loser.
He's not a man. He's an it with a cocky grin and a stupid outfit.
Who's that guy you were seeing?
He's a little strange.
Stop, sit.
Oh, I like strange.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. There's brand new Superman trailer footage with a couple references here from the comics and some real-world examples of why Superman's disguise would totally work. Like, a big part of this new footage is him talking to Lois Lane early in their relationship about how she does know his secret, like he's already revealed it to her, but how she's worried that everybody else is going to find out because she thinks it's a terrible disguise, like they're going to see right through you. They will totally figure out that Clark Kent is Superman, but he is confident that his glasses disguise will totally work, and he's actually correct based on some real-world examples involving Henry Cavill of all people. Some of you probably remember Henry Cavill's run-in several years ago that totally proves Superman's disguise would work in real life. There's actually been legit psychological studies that explain this phenomenon and why it works so well, even though it seems kind of silly. There's a bunch of other new footage too of Lex Luthor, what's going on with him, of his kaiju fight, and some separate clips, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. We're also doing a ticket giveaway too because tickets are on sale in the next couple of days. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and post all your predictions and what you want them to do with the Superman character going forward. In addition to World's Finest, that's like the leading prediction that I hear everybody making. We want to see some World's Finest. But at the beginning of this clip, there's a montage of him going to the Daily Planet, but separately talking to Lois Lane at night after a day at work about people discovering his identity and him thinking that it's going to hold up. Like, I'm wearing the glasses, they're not going to figure it out. Generally seems like his performance here, the look, everything, the whole vibe, is just based more on Christopher Reeve's original version of Superman. It just feels very, very similar to his version. Notice how he towers over everybody else in the crowd here, but the way he presents himself as the bumbling Clark Kent, the way that Christopher Reeve hunched over, he's kind of doing the same thing. That moment of him and Steve Lombard making fun of each other, like Steve Lombard clearly does not realize that it is Superman. Like, hey, loser.
Hey, loser. You're a loser.
There's a lot of other stuff happening during this montage too, we'll talk about in a second separately, like him suplexing, using wrestling moves on this evil version of Superman in the black suit that they're calling Ultraman. And even though it does seem kind of silly that people wouldn't immediately realize that he is Superman just looking at all the footage of him, because you're thinking about the internet, people recording Superman on their phones, zooming and enhancing, a lot of pausing, rewinding of footage, things that people would not have when Superman was originally created. Like, a lot of modern technology has made it way harder for superheroes to hide their identity. But the reason why in the DC universe and in real life, Superman's disguise, just using the glasses, the bumbling Clark Kent persona to hide his true identity in plain sight, works because of a real-world effect called observer bias, which describes the tendency for people to observe only what they expect to see, not what they're literally seeing, like what's actually in front of them. The way that James Gunn has been hyping up Lex Luthor's ability in this movie is that he's so smart, his technology seems like sorcery. And he still hasn't figured out that Clark Kent is Superman. All because of this real-world phenomenon, observer bias, that he's still subject to like everybody else. In the context of Superman, most people in the world of the DC universe, or like the DCU, James Gunn's new DCU, aren't expecting to see Superman as the nerdy, bumbling, glasses-wearing Clark Kent, like Steve Lombard's clip here, the two of them making fun of each other, shows Steve Lombard, reporter for the Daily Planet, actually an intelligent and observant person, but because of the way that Superman presents himself in this way, like this total nerd, Steve Lombard, Perry White, everybody else's brains just automatically filter out any thoughts of Superman, all because they're thinking, why would Superman, the world's most powerful being on the planet, who was just out saving people, having all these adventures, be like this person in front of me working here, acting this way? Clark Kent seems like the most harmless, nerdy person on the planet. A real-life example of this phenomenon even happened to Henry Cavill himself back in 2015-2016 to promote the Batman v Superman movie before its release. So he wore a Superman t-shirt and went to Times Square in New York City right next to a giant billboard of his face, normally very, very busy place with many people, all just to get a reaction to see how people would freak out noticing him there, like, oh my god, it's you!
Where's Henry gone?
And you probably remember hearing about this because nobody noticed him. It was weird, really weird. Literally walking around in broad daylight, clearly wearing a Superman t-shirt right underneath a giant billboard of his face. Nothing happened, it was total crickets, bizarre. All because nobody was expecting Henry Cavill to be randomly walking around in Times Square on a weekday like any casual person going about their day. Everyone had just mentally tuned out the fact that they were staring him dead in the face. Like, oh, you can't be Henry Cavill, so clearly they didn't see Henry Cavill walking right in front of them. There was even a real-life study that had a bunch of people passing a basketball to each other, asking you to count the total number of times they did it. Most correctly guessed 15, but then got confused when the testers asked them what time during the test the gorilla showed up. People are like, what gorilla? What are you talking about? And literally during the test, they had a person in a gorilla costume walk through the middle of all the basketballs passing. But because all the people went into the test only focusing on paying attention, keeping up with the basketballs, their brains just tuned out the fact that a gorilla walked in front of their face, which is why Superman's glasses, his Clark Kent persona disguise, would totally work in real life. Now everybody's going to go to school or work tomorrow just trying to spot the secret super being trying to hide in plain sight. Some of the other really big stuff going on during this footage, we get way more of that fight scene between him and that evil Superman clone that Lex creates that might wind up turning into a version of Bizarro in the DCU. We will see about that. It just seems like at some point Lex creates him before the movie begins and puts him in a couple different costumes, eventually this black one. But notice he takes him down in the baseball field using a suplex wrestling moves, meaning that Superman is a wrestling fan, which it makes sense. Wrestling, very popular form of entertainment, so of course Superman probably grew up watching wrestling on TV. He suplexes him, that's why you see him looking like he's down for the count on the baseball field off to the side while Superman starts dealing with the engineer who starts attacking him with her nanites, courtesy of Ray Palmer, like everybody just do the meme. Right after it seems like she's also just taken down Mr. Terrific, who's nearby, with all of his gear in pieces. He also uses a lot of nanites too. They even clarified during the movie that the T on his face isn't part of the costume, it's nanites, like the T is made from nanites.
Courtesy of Ray Palmer.
There's actually another connection to wrestling too, just with the movie in general, the way they put everything together. David Corenswet explained the trunks in-universe, saying that Superman wears them on the outside of his pants, inspired in-universe, this is in context, mostly by luchadores, Mexican wrestling, so that kids will not be as afraid of him. One of the big themes during this trailer and a lot of the tie-in material is the idea that Superman is trying to convince the world that he's there to help everyone. Like, it's still relatively early in his career, so it seems like people are still unsure about what Superman's deal is. Should we trust him? And Lex Luthor is trying to use that to turn the world against Superman. Like, no, he's evil. We should hate him. And through his actions during the movie, Superman trying to prove Lex Luthor wrong. No, I am here to help everyone. There's a little bit more of his fight with the Hammer of Baravia, with Lex Luthor's voiceover saying he's not a man, he's an it, like he's a thing, basically trying to dehumanize him as much as possible. Notice we also get a much clearer HD version of him in front of that Kryptonian console after he's broken into the fortress. It seems like he steals some message and then tries to use that against Superman to try to turn the world against him. But even though the movie is not like 6 hours long, I would totally watch a 6-hour Superman movie. I'm assuming we're going to get a bit of a small tutorial in the movie that explains some of the Kryptonian technology that he does have in the fortress, like the robots themselves, which seem like they're very capable at operating all the technology inside the fortress. This person taking the selfie while he's busy fighting something in the background too is also meant to be Miss Tessmacher. She actually comes to the fortress with Lex Luthor. You can see her in the background here when their fight begins, when the engineer starts unloading on all the Kryptonian robots. She's meant to be a direct tie back to the Christopher Reeve Superman with that version of Miss Tessmacher, who wore something similar, wore a similar outfit, and also came to the Fortress of Solitude with Lex Luthor, the Gene Hackman Lex Luthor. Every version of Lex Luthor has somehow been able to break into the Fortress of Solitude. Then we get the much clearer HD version of the scene of Cat Grant talking to Lois Lane about the new quote-unquote guy she's seeing, the Clark Kent guy, who she calls Strange, and Cat Grant just being like, ooh, I like Strange, but them cutting it with all the footage of Superman being Superman. And the very relatable footage of him trying to deal with an unruly small dog that will not behave himself, like, stop biting my legs, stop it, stop it.
You were saying,
He's so strange.
Stop! Sit!
oh, I like strange.
There was actually a report recently about the way they changed the structure of the movie through some of the editing and stuff that they took out from the original cut. Like, the original cut was way longer. And one of the biggest details is the way that they actually broke up the different fights and events that happen in the movie. So there's a bunch of different encounters that he has with a bunch of different types of villains or different threats that he faces. And the way people who actually saw that original cut are actually talking about it is that they actually broke up the movie into different days in the life of Superman, and they would just demarcate the different days with title cards on screen. Like, if you remember Zack Snyder's Justice League, the way that he had title cards during that movie denoting different parts, different chapters of the Snyder Cut, almost like James Gunn doing something similar, showing a week in the life of Superman, like him just going through it all during a week, trying to prove to the world that he is a good person. Based on the way that people are talking about the changes made to the film recently, it sounds like they took out a lot of the jokes, like a lot of the humor, but also the chapters denoting the different parts of the movie so that it flows a little bit different, like more of a traditional movie. One of the reasons why Zack Snyder did the chapter thing was because originally he was going to release the Snyder Cut in different episodes, different parts on HBO Max when it first released. The reason why he didn't do this, he released it all at the same time, was like one super long Justice League movie, was because of contracts. Just because he would have had to pay all the actors for a TV contract separate from their movie contract. Like, the movie contract didn't allow him to actually release it like a TV show. Some really weird inside baseball, just an example of how lawyers ruin all the good ideas that filmmakers come up with behind the scenes. But if there's any other Easter eggs or references that you spotted in this brand new footage that I didn't talk about in the video, just write them below in the comments. We'll probably get some more footage later this week when tickets officially go on sale. And by the time you're watching this, that might have already happened if you're watching this a couple days after I posted it. And if you were able to get those early Superman screening tickets, let me know in the comments. They actually went pretty fast. What I'll do is I'll just keep the giveaway for tickets open in all of my DC related videos, just because there'll be other stuff beyond Superman stuff posting in the next couple weeks. Really hoping we actually get some footage of that new Green Lantern HBO TV show. We should see some more from it in the next couple months. I've already done a couple videos about that. Click here for those and click here for all my other Superman videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.